All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Although I have to say that even though we call it Flipping Houses for Rookies, Peter, I think we tend to probably more than just rookies these days. What do you think?
Oh, we've all moved up the ranks a bit. We started at the beginning, and it's like I don't know. It's like a whole education complex.
There you go.
K to masters.
There you go. All right, episode number 372 is today's agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And the title for today's podcast is How to Meet Creative Real Estate Sellers Properly. Bill has a few things to say.
Okay, say it again.
How to meet creative real estate sellers properly.
Okay.
Here's the intro. In today's, or actually the description, I said the intro. This is the description. In today's bustling world of real estate, where there is so much to learn and money to make, we tend to forget the basics. In today's episode, we will enter a secret world of how to talk to sellers properly that very few have mastered. So, you can learn this special art of engaging with creative real estate sellers and almost become friends with them instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever wonder why some do many deals and others struggle with deals? What if you could unlock a treasure trove of properties just because of some basic skills? Today's thrilling expedition can almost seem too simple, which is why most forget it. Plus, don't do it and struggle to make more deals. Are you prepared to challenge what you think you know? And today's status quo, to venture into a world where rules are rewritten. Then brace yourself. This episode is your golden ticket, your secret map, an invitation into a world most don't get to see. Do you dare to enter? This world is just a play button away for you. Tune in now and let's cover the art of talking to sellers properly.
Gee, Bill, have you been taking writing classes?
Why?
You're getting very literary here.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Well, that's what I came up with because I haven't been taking any literary classes, but you're painting pictures there.
I have not taken any classes, but I do write a lot and I practice a lot.
And you read a lot too.
And I read a lot. Yeah.
If you want to do something, you see how other people do it, you learn a lot. So yeah, reading is good.
This is very near and dear to my heart, as I probably said many podcasts before. So this is not just a podcast for my listeners. This is a podcast for my students, because what I tend to do in these podcasts, which is probably not fair to some of my students, but when I feel like I'm repeating something over and over and over and over and over again, I don't like that.
You mean when they're not listening?
No, when I have to tell it, when I have to tell it to more than one student.
Okay.
Right?
Well, Bill, I'm an educator. People have the same problems all the time.
Right.
Yeah. So instead of repeating yourself, what do? You make a podcast.
Yes. Hang on one second.
Yeah. Now that's a smart thing to do. You make, I teach music beside the real estate, and I have everything written in forms and make copies. I don't write it over and over. When we do real estate scripts, we use things that are prepared and they're worked out in advance, and we, use them like a format because we know what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. So that's basically what it is instead of teaching people over and over and over and over and over again. Sorry about that. I had to have a text. I have a couple closings I'm working on, and one of them is hot as a pancake this morning. So,
oh boy.
Yeah. So what I find is that first of all, it's good for me to write the podcast and kind of articulate how everybody should hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's even better when I intervene with you on it, because I know you're part of it. This podcast is written for you, Peter.
Oh God.
Okay. So, well, you because it kind of started with you. It's not anything you're doing wrong or anything.
Okay,
like
that's
that.
what I want to
Yeah.
check. Is good
No,
thing versus
no,
bad
no,
thing?
no, no, no. I'm not.
But I do something good, fine.
No, it's just because of watching. I mean, you kind of started it, and then I kind of have found other things. Anyways, so let's move on. So let's do our housekeeping types stuff. We've already wasted 5 minutes. So we record this podcast every Thursday morning, 9:30 a.m. We live stream it to Facebook, currently LinkedIn, and YouTube. So you can go on to any one of those channels at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on Thursday morning, and you could type your questions into where they allow you to type. Into the comments or wherever they are. In the comments of this podcast, I have released, this is the first time I've publicly given this link. I wrote a book called How Does Creative Real Estate Actually Work?
Mm-hmm.
It's about 10,000 words. It's not like an ebook. It's an actual book, but I'm distributing it electronically right now. And you could go get that book for free today if you click on the link. The reason why I'm putting it in today's podcast is because some of the things I talk about today are actually in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, they're not in the book, but I talk about this stuff, and this is an extension of the book.
Good.
Okay?
Yeah.
Last thing is, don't forget to subscribe to us, wherever you are watching us or listening to us. Make sure you like us. Make sure you give us feedback, because those are our report card things. Okay? Mm-hmm. So with that said, let's go. I'm going to get right down to business. Today.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, do it.
We have a lot to do. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, how to meet creative real estate sellers properly. What does that mean to you?
Well, how about this one? What they say about first impressions.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
First impressions. And lately, since you're saying this is something about me, I've been talking to a lot of people. I do real estate calls, I do music lesson calls, I do a lot of that. And I've had just the best responses from people lately. Just before I even meet them, it's like, you've got a good attitude. You know, the last guy we have a deal working on now, by the time we finish, it's like, oh, you know my cousin John? Yeah, the funeral guy. Yeah, he made the gravestone for my mom. I used to make those when I was a kid, you know? Yeah, I'll be talking to him in a few minutes. By the time we're done, it's like paisans. And I'm not trying to do that. I'm not like, how can I be slick about it? But anyways, first impressions. You get off on the wrong foot, it's hard to get back.
Right.
So that's my answer. First impressions.
Okay, good. So you wouldn't think, so let's carry on and find out. Okay. So you wouldn't think I would need to cover these simple skills.
Yeah.
But honestly, I have noticed some real outpoints with my students and coaching clients lately.
Oh, really?
And I'm going to explain the reason why, because we have a little bit of a disease in the business that's starting.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I decided if I don't cover it, it will lose, and I'm being very, very, very conservative. It will lose tens and tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, and probably more with my students and coaching clients if I don't cover this, because it's happening now. I see it. It's very obvious to me, and I want to fix it. So that's why I'm making this. So this podcast is like, kind of like, you remember when we did episode number 260? And I was talking about overpaying for properties, right? And we talked about the Grand Slam offer. And, it was like we launched that podcast because that was like the beginning of it. Well, it turned into a whole evolution, because since then, oh my God, I can't even tell you. I can't tell you. There's hardly a day that I don't go by that somebody doesn't tell me they have a deal because of that script and that calculator, right? That was absolutely an industry disruptor. We're giving people 50, 60, 70% more than market value. And they freaking love it. And we're making tons of money doing it. just because of the way we present the offer. It's not even the offer that's so, I mean, the offer is a slot deal. You just got to know how to present it. And I mean, I have a deal with a coaching client that I had to call yesterday. I know his uncle well. He's in coaching because of his uncle. And I called his uncle and I was like, dude, no disrespect, but your kid, your nephew, he's a great kid. He kind of ebbs and flows. He comes, he doesn't come, it's like, I don't know. He parties, he doesn't party. I don't know what's going on. I said, but he's not paying enough attention and he's got a deal that makes $100,000. So I don't know what to do. Should I just coach him and see if he can put it together, or should I partner with him and do the deal? He says, no, partner with him. He says, no, kick his ass. You know how it goes, So I'm on the phone with the seller, and it's just amazing how tuned in this seller was with a kid. And I mean a kid. When I say kid, I'm talking mid-20s probably.
Young.
With a kid that just read him the script that knew absolutely, positively freaking nothing. And I spoke to the seller and he was tuned in. He had questions. I recorded it like I record everything. And he had questions. It's just incredible. Anyways, I'm offbeat. I'm talking about that because that's how that started, was episode 260. Now we're on 272 and it's since taken off. 360. Yeah, I keep doing that.
Just in case people go looking.
Yeah, so 360. So this is going to be one of those things. This is a podcast where we're going to talk about it. We're going to do it, and it's going to launch from here because this is it's basic, but it's huge. Okay, so and I'm not exaggerating here at all. Simply because when I go over the points that I'm going to cover today with folks one-on-one, when I go over them, in other words, when I talk to like you or somebody else one-on-one, I notice they start getting deals right away if they haven't been getting deals before, or getting more deals right away if they have been getting deals before. So if you have somebody that's getting a deal once every other month, right, now all of a sudden they're getting one or two a month because they're doing this. I mean, look at Phil. Right. I mean, he's in our coaching group. Look what he's doing. He's on fire.
He's talking about 3 or 4 every week. He's talking about 3 or 4.
Yeah, and it's because of this new strategy, right? And what I'm talking about today, he's really good with this. So I feel obligated to share this information. I really do. It's a hidden art form that is simple, but crushes it if you use it. Right. More to the point, I have never, ever, 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 never seen this in a book or heard of this being taught anywhere else. I have multiple coaching groups I'm in. I still read books from way back in the day. I buy current books. I mean, I read a lot, right? But it's crucial if you plan on doing deal volume. Okay? All right. Enough hype. Here's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about over automation. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted. This guy keeps. Anyways, over automation, or more clearly, when does the automation, like AI, stop and human intervention kick in? Now, like I said, don't hang up on me yet, because this is simple. It sounds kind of corny and stupid, but I'm telling you, this exact thing is blowing deals left and right. People are killing deals before they even get started and don't even freaking know it.
Yep.
And it happened during COVID, and I thought it was because there were too many of us in the market, right?
It doesn't help, but if it's not the right reason, it won't fix. If it doesn't fix, it wasn't the right reason.
Yeah. And this at this point, I was wrong. It's not that at all. And I'll tell you what started it for me, but I didn't realize it until now when I look back on it. Like, for example, I'd be on a phone with a seller, because what was happening is during COVID, obviously everything got shut down. So what we were doing I know you and I were doing it, and Sean and I were doing it, because this is what started Creative REI Replay.
Mm.
This is how we got started, because everything was shut down and we couldn't use some of my old ways. So Sean started doing some automation.
Mm-hmm.
And what we were doing is we were crushing it for like a year and a half. I mean, I remember one house we paid $200,000 for it, right? It was worth $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
We paid $200,000. We gave the girl $100,000 in cash, which ironically I think we had at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And we signed a 1-year note with her, no interest, no payments, for the other $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
And literally a month and a half later, we sold it and closed and made $85,000. So basically what we were doing, and we did nothing to it. I mean, we literally, we didn't even sweep the floor. I think we cut the grass. That's the only thing we did because of the time period, right? Mm-hmm. So what happened was we were taking off-market properties and putting them on the market. We even used a realtor and everything on that property. We didn't sell it on our own, mm-hmm. but we still made $85,000, right? So it started back then because I'd be talking to sellers like this that I'm buying these houses from, and it went from that point where I would just talk to the seller and I would get a deal to all of a sudden I'm hearing, well, why would I want to? First of all, why would I want to sell a house? Well, why would I want to do that with you? Meaning take monthly payments or a discount when I have 10 people a day like you calling me.
Yep.
So I got clever and I started asking, oh, really? So how many offers do you have? Mm-hmm. To find out that when people are saying this, they didn't have any offers at all.
Mm-hmm.
Which is my point. My point that I'm going to make in a minute is that it was all automation.
Oh.
So they were getting all this automation, these texts and these voicemails and all this automation saying, I have your offer. I want to buy your house. And they were falsely hyping them up.
Yep.
So when I asked them, how many offers did you make? Meaning that how many people have you actually talked to? How many people like me have actually called you? Mm. And when I started stripping it down, I found out, oh, well, none. You see? And that kind of started it. And then as we go through, I'll continue the story. But for right now, believe it or not, this exact lack of clarification is costing our industry hundreds of millions of dollars in deals right now. Mm-hmm. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in deals around the country. So I want to explain how this paradigm shift for most will work. Then I want to show you what to do. Okay. So I want to explain it first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Am I doing okay? I'm not.
Yeah. The only question people might have is when you say automation, unless they're familiar with it, we're talking sending automated messages, texts, maybe voicemails, and having some responses with an AI, even going back and forth and talking to people for us.
Well, right now it's AI. Back then it was software with texting. Mm-hmm. It could be as simple as putting signs out and sending them to a free recorded message, mm-hmm. and then not answering the messages. Or instead of sending them to a live operator like Ron LeGrand preaches, go to Pat Live.
Yeah,
that's all automation. Mm-hmm. You personally are not talking to the seller. There's too many vias. It's kind of like standing. Let's talk about Pinball Wizard. The Who, the song, okay. Right? You stand at the bottom of the pinball and the ball's bouncing around, and nothing's happening. There's no points being made. It's just ding 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 ding, and it's entertaining, but there's no points being made.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it seems like in our business there's always been a point of balance. Like, do we just talk to people on the phone or we just run and go see the houses right away? Now we can't go around and seeing houses all the time. Let's just talk to them on the phone. Wait a minute, we're talking too much. We better show up once in a while. And this is the automation live person balance.
Okay, so you have
to know.
I'm going to talk about the theory first.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, please do not dismiss this as too simple because you will lose deals. Mm. I'm telling you, you will lose deals. Please hang in there with me. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to start off with the word called curiosity,
All right.
which simply means a strong desire to know or learn something.
Mm.
Curiosity. What does it mean, Peter?
I thought it was something that killed cats. Sorry, that's my entertainment value.
That's a bad joke.
What do you mean? It's a real one, though. No, well, curiosity will pull you into something.
Right.
There's something over there someplace, and you have this desire to know what it is because you don't, and it sucks you in. I put a wad of paper staple, like 10 pages, on the kitchen table this morning during breakfast. And I know my wife. If there's a box that's closed, she's got to see what's in it. So she starts reading it, and it's this really serious thing I'll show you later about the economy in the 70s and these deals and these horrible things that happened that have ruined the planet, and no one knows about it. And she's eating breakfast and reading. It's a mystery. She's curious. I didn't say a word. I just put it there. So it pulls you in, and you want to know more, not hang up the phone.
A strong desire to know or learn something.
Mm-hmm.
It is eagerness and an inquisitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, ironically enough, you probably didn't know this, but you could break down curiosity into two types. One is a general interest curiosity.
Okay.
Like your wife with the paper this morning.
Yeah, what's that?
Right? General interest. It's like, they just found something and they're curious, right?
Yeah.
And the other one is a deprivation curiosity.
Wow.
And deprivation means a lack of something, or as we state here on Bill's Planet, neediness.
Okay.
So like our listeners are more like deprivation curiosity, like how do they make 5 deals a month?
Mm.
Right? So there's a curiosity there.
Mm-hmm. So it's more fueled by a need.
Yeah, it's neediness.
Yeah. Okay. Need to pay the rent next month. Need some money.
If you go back to way back into the podcast and you listen, we talk about need and greed, right?
Yeah.
Curiosity is that way.
Mm-hmm.
So general interest curiosity would be, okay, well, how much can you give me?
Yeah.
Greed. Or deprivation curiosity is like, okay, well, how can you help my problem?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Am I doing something wrong?
No, I'm only smiling because I made a phone call yesterday. I haven't told you about yesterday, and it's fitting what we're talking about today.
Okay.
Serious?
Right. Okay, and I thought of something a minute ago I wanted to tell you, but I can't remember what it is, so we're going to keep going. So, so deprivation means a lack of something, or we state, or as we state on Bill's planet, my planet is neediness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we tell sellers there's something to know, and don't tell them what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They snap to attention and go from you chasing them to them chasing you for this information. So what if you need to do, what you need to do is create this interest, something they want or think they want, something they don't know, a mystery. And their own curiosity will channel them along the way you want them to be channeled along.
Mm-hmm.
A good example of this is you tell them you have an offer or two for them and you're ready to buy.
Mm-hmm.
See, the lie is you think they want to sell, but they don't. Instead, what they really want is they want your offer. See, they might have a $200,000 house, right? and you might only want to pay 100,000. Well, they don't want to sell for 100,000. They want to sell for 200 or as close as they can to that.
Sure.
Right. Or maybe they want to sell in a week instead of 6 months, like a realtor. Right. See, they need to know what you can do for them.
Sure.
Before they want to sell. So they won't bother with you or give you their time, right? Which is why I always say they want an offer first.
Yep.
So you have the offer, right? And you need to entice them with it. Now I'm going to give you better examples as we go along here. I'm just trying to do it like in stages, because I know I'm belaboring this and I'm probably moving too slow, and it may not seem so sexy to you right now. But I'm telling you, once you get this concept and you use it, you will get more people on the phone, and especially if you use the Grand Slam offer, which is episode 360 and 370, right? You will crush it. So this brings me to my main and most paradigm shift discovery. All right. If I could cut down this podcast to just 10 minutes, it would be this 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Because this discovery is what I found out with you, and found out it wasn't just you. It's every coaching client, every student I have, 100% does this. Okay. So listen up, because done correctly will make you millions in real estate. You need to guide and channel the seller where they can get the data, like a phone call with you or with your closer. This is a people business. You cannot buy a property texting people. This is not Amazon. This is not eBay. Okay? You never, ever just give the data. You need to shuttle them along using curiosity and mystery to get them where you want. Now, I've done this for 30 years because I don't even know why. It's just ingrained in me. It's like, if you want data from me, you have to prove to me it's worth me giving it to you. Not like I'm pompous or arrogant. Or the thing is I've learned over the years, you'll be at a party and you'll be talking to somebody, or you think you're helping somebody and they're just being nice and listening to you. You're completely wasting your time. You're not helping anybody. I'd rather talk about something else than to take my knowledge that's taken me years and hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars to learn, and just give it to you. Right? It's a free service. And they don't take it as serious, right?
Yeah. They don't listen. They don't do it.
Here's the point. If you give the seller little pieces of data by answering their questions, you tip your hat on how you might be able to help. And their curiosity or mystery gets answered and terminates them. Wanting to talk to you or hear your full offer. A good example of this is what Manning did along with us not so long ago. And I realize this now. I didn't realize it when it was happening, because we were kind of wallowing in like not doing deals, and I had so much to look at and so much to sort through and so much habits to break, because COVID came and completely put real estate on its head. COVID actually put the realtor out of business, and they don't know it yet, because 40% of all transactions these days are done without realtors. So much so that the transaction between that's the deal I'm doing this morning. I have an owner that has they're both friends of mine, very good friends of mine from the church, right? Mm-hmm. I have an owner that has a property. She lives in California, and I have a couple that lives in the house for 6 or 8 years, mm-hmm. and she wants to sell, and like, who do they go to? They go to a realtor. She doesn't want to pay all the realtor fees, right?
Yeah. Well, they say that she wants to sell to the people there that are in the house.
The renter.
Yeah. Well, the reason you get a realtor is to find the buyer. You already got the buyer, so just do it.
So now somebody needs to put the transaction together. So how do you do this? Who do you go to? Who helps you to do this? Because if you don't know the process, and they're all, I mean, every day I send text out. I have a group text, and I send text out. We're doing this and we're doing that. And they keep telling me, oh my God, this is amazing. You're on top of it. I can't believe it. I keep getting all these compliments, right? And I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm just saying, and they keep saying, I'm going to pay you. And I'm like, no, you're not. It's my pro bono.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Which will not happen. I know this girl, and I know her. I'm going to have to fight with her. I'm going to have to give her money back, and she's not going to like it.
Don't worry, Bill. I'll contact her. I'll tell her to send it to me, and I'll make sure. Never mind.
Right. So the point is that 40% of the market is doing deals without the realtor. So because the realtor thinks that the only place that you can have property is on the MLS, there's 40% of the market that is not going on the MLS to get sold, and they think there's a shortage of houses. No, there's a shortage of them adapting to the environment, them being able to change their system and know that they can help sellers like this. Mm-hmm. Instead of charging 6% to go find a buyer, if I was a realtor, I would charge 1% to just do the transaction. Mm-hmm. All they're doing is coordinating and using all their resources. I mean, I used my banker, my loan guy. I used my attorney. All I'm doing is giving them resources that they don't know they can have, and just saying, do this next, do that next, and filling out contracts, purchase and sales contract, and putting it in DocuSign and have everybody signing it. It's not hard. Mm-hmm. It's just knowing the steps. Right?
Sure.
So I don't know why I went off on the tangent. The point is that what I'm preaching to you right now, and I am preaching right now because I'm telling you, you will not believe this podcast is as important to you as you think. Until you start doing deals or trying to do deals, or if you start trying to get leads and you start getting serious about making money, you will realize what I'm teaching you today is the most vital thing you can learn. Okay? Mm-hmm. So good example of this, which we did many years, and I want to explain this, right?
Sure.
So and yeah, I'm going to explain it. So we would text someone, the initial text.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to take payments for a year or two and then sell the house to me?
Mm-hmm. Nope.
That's too much information. Except this is an excellent question, but only works perfect for a landlord advertising a rental property. It becomes curiosity to him or her.
Right. He's already renting.
See, he's just expecting the monthly rent, like you just said. He's just expecting the monthly rent. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, he's already renting. He's there. But this other part, selling, like maybe he's thinking of selling, but not now, but maybe later. And that's what you're saying. Right. So there's some guys that are like, God, I'm getting tired of this. Maybe you should sell in a while. And you say rent and then sell. He might be thinking that, and you're connecting with him. He's got to find out now.
Right. It's a curiosity to him because it's a specific message just to him.
Yeah. Well, those two things don't happen together, buy and sell. I mean, rent and sell. It's like, I got to rent and then I got to sell. You say, no, we do both. You do both? What's that all about? That doesn't happen very often. You know,
Peter, you just said something very magical. You're right. Those two things don't normally work together. It's either you're renting or you're selling. That's a very obvious thing to say. That's very
Well,
cool.
you know, it only took me 8 years to come up with it.
Yeah. The point is that we were using it, or we were using it correctly, because what I would tell people to do is I would tell people to go into Facebook Marketplace,
Mm,
go under the rent section,
yeah.
and don't look at the houses. Don't evaluate the houses at all. Just go through and just type it once. Would you be willing to take payments for a year or two and then sell to me? Then copy it, and just paste it 25 times a day. Don't look at the houses. Just go into Facebook Marketplace under the rent section and just copy and paste that message 25 times a day, 10 times a day, 15 times a day, 20 times a day. And I make a joke out of it because I'm crude sometimes. Like, you got to sit on the toilet and take a crap. You could do this while you're crapping. I mean, you're not doing anything else anyways. So, like, you got 5 minutes, and that's about how long it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? By the end of the week, you will have people calling you. You will. Now, Facebook doesn't give you the addresses or anything like that. So you're going to have to ask people for their phone numbers and their addresses, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to get into these instant messages with them. The direct messages, they call DMing, right? Direct messages.
Sure.
And you'll start having a conversation with them. Now, here's the part that I'm talking about right here. You start having a conversation with them.
Right.
So I'm going to pause right there and keep going with the podcast and come back to this exact moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is where it failed, and I didn't know it because I'm not seeing the conversations that people are typing on their phones.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't go that far into the process to find out, why is this not working so well? Why does it work with some and not others?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just the point where automation has to end and the live call has to happen. Is that what you're talking about? Where that one ends and one starts?
Right.
Yeah.
So the seller will stop chasing you or communicating to you once they get their questions answered. Right? Or a solution to their problem, or what they think the solution to the problem is.
Yeah.
Right? So if they think that they got their question answered. Now, Peter, let me ask you something.
Yes.
If you went to the doctor and he said you needed brain surgery. Okay. What questions would you ask him?
I would say, why? What's wrong with my brain? What are you going to do? Is it dangerous? Am I going to die? How much is it going to cost me? You got questions.
Yeah, but not the correct questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the questions you should probably ask is, what's my afterlife going to be like? That's a good question, but people don't think of that. Here, let's change the conversation. Let's say you wanted to buy a brand new car.
Yep.
So what questions should you ask when you buy a brand new car?
Well, it might be how reliable is it? What's the breakdown and cost? What's the cost per mile of using it? Things like that.
Okay.
Are those any good?
Yeah. How about asking, so what is the manufacturer's warranty and what does it cover?
Yeah.
What happens when I break down? Is there roadside assistance? I mean, there are different sets of questions. The point that I'm trying to make is, you as the novice car buyer, or you as the novice person that needs an operation, do not know what questions to ask. Right?
Well, yeah, that's interesting. When you don't know about something, you have confusion, but you don't know enough about it to ask the right questions sometimes. And they might know the answers, but they don't know that you don't know, and they don't tell you, and you don't ask, and you don't find out.
I'll give you an example of this transaction I'm doing right now. The girl that's selling the house wants to net $150,000.
Okay.
She does not give a flying good crap about anything else. In fact, she just raised the price by 10 grand because she found out she's got to pay taxes, and she made the buyer pay it. Oh. She is all about her and what she's getting. Nothing about, well, Because what's the first thing that you hear when you hear that I'm raising the price by 10,000? What's the first thing that? Well, I don't know if you'll come up with this. I'll tell you the first thing that comes to my mind.
What?
Is the bank going to appraise it for that number? Are they going to lend on that?
If it goes up too high, yeah.
Yeah, you could ask $1 million. I don't give a good crap what I mean, but if you don't know how much it will appraise for, then it's useless information. But she's asking that question: can you give me $150,000 after all the closing costs? She doesn't care about anything else. She's trying to solve some other problem, which, by the way, we call that a greed deal. She has another problem that she needs $150,000 for in her business, and that's the reason why she is selling the house.
What's she paying taxes on?
She doesn't live in the house. Capital gains tax.
Capital gains. Yep. Okay.
She lives in California, the house is, and she's been renting for 6 or 8 years. So my point is that here's what happens. Our students or coaching clients have the seller asking them questions that are most often meaningless. And based on what I just told you, once they get their answers, if they don't like their answers, they stop communicating.
Yeah, if they're irrelevant, that's horrible too, because that's like no interest. And then you answer something and they're done. Oh yeah, holy crap. That's like strike two.
So let's just name this. This is a one-way communication, not a two-way. In other words, if you had wires between you and I right now, like you're one place and the communication would go down on one wire, the left wire, but nothing comes back on the right wire. So I don't get any feedback on my communication. I say to Peter, "How are you today?" And you don't answer me. I'm left in mystery on how you are. I didn't get a response. It's a one-way communication. So you're trying to give the seller information on your offer, and you're stuck with, they won't listen to your offer because they have questions which are irrelevant questions. Right? And they think they're getting answers, and they're not, and they're making a life decision based on wrong data.
Wow.
Because you are answering their questions in bits and pieces over text instead of finding out what's really going on and how you can really help them. Right?
Yeah.
So what happens is, which is why you have to keep the seller's appetite for answers a mystery until you are ready and prepared with all the facts you need to help them correctly.
Live.
Well, it doesn't even have to be live, but I know that like you talk about this all the time. Well, first of all, let's back up. I wanted to say something. What did I want to say? Oh my goodness, this is twice this has happened. Anyways, this is like when you speak about you and I going out to a house. Bill, do you want to see the information on the house? No. Why? Because I want it from the horse's mouth. I don't want your interpretation of it. I don't want some because I've done that. I did this with my realtor when he was my acquisition manager, Dave Boldick. I said to him, he gave me all this data about the house, and I went into the house and I said to the guy, "Here's my offer. Take it or leave it." And I got in the car, and David, who rightfully so, and I'm telling you this, I take my lumps. And he leaned into me, man. I thought he was going to walk home. He was so pissed off at me because I offered him a cash offer, and the guy was willing to do a subject to, but he said, I'm going to give you one offer only, and you take it or leave it. And the guy said, "I'm leaving with it." And he got pissed off and he walked away. And we find out afterwards when we're talking to him that it could have been a subject to deal if I had paid 10 grand more. But I had a preconceived idea of what the guy wanted based on David's information originally. And I went into the house cocky, thinking, here's my offer. because they
you
did.
cocky? You?
Yeah,
Never.
right, exactly.
Never.
So, but the point is that the two-way communication was not two-way. I wasn't able to extract information and the true pain, the true soreness, the true whatever, to be able to make the offer.
Yeah.
This is no different than texting your doctor a message like, I don't feel good. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to minimally ask you questions and probably need to see you before he or she can like land a or can do a proper diagnosis.
Yeah.
And give his or her solutions.
Mm-hmm.
So until you get all your questions answered, until you understand the full situation, you can't give an offer.
So this makes me think. Let's compare the two. You're at the doctor and you're trying to ask the doctor questions, but you're not a specialist in the field. So you're not even asking the right questions that will lead to an answer. You got to let him ask the questions and guide you where you need to go.
Right.
So when we're talking to sellers, they don't know what we do. They don't know how we can structure things to be beneficial to them. So they're just asking questions like, how much?
Right.
So we have to ask questions to get them to find out what we need them to find out.
Right.
That they don't know to ask.
Right.
We got to guide them gingerly to find out things like, oh, really? You could do that? I didn't know that. Of course you don't know that. You didn't spend the time, money, and effort we've all been spending to learn this business. So we have to guide them more.
So curiosity and mystery, not little scraps of information, will be the way you make more sellers make better and correct offers. Mm-hmm. Not scraps of information, because that's what they are. Unless it's encompassed into an offer, right? Like, can you pay me $1,500 a month? Sure. Well, I needed $1,800. Right? You don't know what the $1,500 or $1,400 a month is around. Like, is it a seller finance deal and it's no interest? Is it subject to? Is it a rental property? Is the property worth $100,000, $200,000, $500,000? On a $500,000 property, I'd lunge all over a $1,400 a month payment. On a $100,000 a month property, I'd probably run the other way.
That's right.
But you understand, it's not the entire deal. You can't until you run an offer through the great equalizer. The great formula equalizer of money now, money monthly, and money later, you do not have the right offer. Because you need to know, is it money? Where's the money now? Where's the money monthly? Where's the money later? And a lot of deals don't have all three of those, which is totally fine. All that does, like on a slot deal or essentially option transfer, right? Flipping leases is what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. What happens is you are making money now, but not money monthly, money later. So you can't spend all your time on this deal because you can't retire with that property. Mm-hmm. But if you have a subject to deal and you can make money now, money monthly, and money later, then you could spend more time on that because the numbers are bigger. You know, it's the difference between making $10,000 and making $80,000. Mm-hmm. Right? My last point. Too many are over texting and under communicating in person, or on the phone, or on the Zoom. People to people, human to human. I see way more than I wish to see. Too many students and coaching clients trying to pre-qualify sellers before dialing the phone. Mm-hmm. It is actually an over or too much qualifying process. This just tells me that there are some lack of confront issues on the investor side.
Mm-hmm.
And lack of confront means afraid.
Yep.
They're consciously or subconsciously not willing to meet face to face because the investor feels this would be a difficult situation, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
they feel it is a problem they can't solve, the seller's problem. It's their problem. They can't solve the seller's problem.
Mm-hmm.
I hear this a lot. I hate this words. I hate this. I want to vomit when I hear this, and I hear it a lot.
What?
And my sisters tell me this.
What?
Well, you know me. I don't like confrontation.
Oh God.
My sister, who is worth some bucks, she's done very well,
Mm-hmm.
will just write a check and make it go away because she doesn't like confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't like drama and confrontation. So instead of confronting it and stopping it, right?
Mm.
She runs the other way. And oh yeah, by the way, Peter, what is the natural law? You become what you resist.
Mm-hmm.
If you resist confrontation, what are you going to get more of?
Yeah, you get more of it. There's another law that I know that once you start confronting something, it's not as bad as you thought.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't confront it, it gets worse. And confronting doesn't mean fighting. It just means facing up to something.
Right.
You know?
It's something you're not comfortable with.
Mm.
So, Peter, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
When you were a little baby and you had to crap in the toilet for the first time, were you comfortable with that?
No, Bill, I literally screamed and cried for I don't remember.
When you first got your driver's license and you had to go do your driver's test, were you comfortable with that?
My son was so uncomfortable, though he could drive well. On the way home, he was so freaked out, he almost drove into the roadside cement barrier.
When you got married to Mary a million years ago and the wedding day happened, were you nervous?
I got a better one. When I proposed to her, I went completely lost my voice. I couldn't talk. Horses are dead. Couldn't talk. How's that?
So everything you do the first time, you don't like, you're uncomfortable with.
My first week at the job at the factory when I was 16, I got through the week. Oh my God, I got through a week. Of course.
That's the way it works.
But that is the way it works. I mean,
it's not the confrontation, it's how you deal with it.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, the only time you don't want to confront is when you find the other guy is the biggest jerk in the world. Then you just cut and go. That happens. Yeah. Most people are actually very, very nice. You and I both have the nicest conversations. And I'm not saying that just to be nice to people to make them like you, but you might as well have some rapport while you're working with them so they're not uncomfortable.
Yeah, but you always know where I stand. You always know where I stand. I always know where you stand because you tell me.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Or I like that. Let's do more.
Yeah. But we also do this with people. And they say, I like talking to you. Mm-hmm. And it's not to be nice. It's to be like, at least they're willing to talk and tell you what they think so you can help them. We don't put them off. You might as well make it somewhat pleasant while you're going through this sometimes difficult process. Why not?
All right, let's move on. Here's my coaching point for today and the new standard, the new Bill Planet rule.
Okie doke.
Okay. Texting is great for, this is what we use texting for and nothing else but this. One, well, this means AI too, because like in Creative REI Replay, we have AI.
Yeah.
And I had a major influence on how that AI works. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. So, and it follows this formula. One, find out the house is for sale.
Okay.
And two, can I speak to you by phone?
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing else. Actually, I put, can I speak to you by phone? It should really be, do you want an offer? And then can I speak to you by phone?
Right, because once they say offer, like how much is it, and then they want a number on the text. So
it's actually 3 points. I'm going to change that. So finding out if the house is for sale. 2, do you want an offer? 3, when can we speak by phone?
Okay. Now I do have a question on that. If you don't, can I ask now?
Why don't we go a little bit longer, because I think I'm
Okay.
going to answer your question.
Go ahead. If not, I'll ask you later, so we don't waste time today. I want to ask you about that whole point, because we bounce that back and forth a little bit. Go ahead.
So any response other than let's talk by phone will blunt or terminate or cut the curiosity, and you will have to chase the seller.
Mm-hmm.
And we both know the harder you chase sellers, the faster they run.
Yeah. Yeah.
A good curiosity would be what we're talking about in this podcast would be episode number 360, which we've been talking about, right? Which is, do you need me to read the title? Read the title.
Well, there was one about the Grand Slam offer, right?
Yeah, episode. Oh God, it's so long ago. 6 months ago. Was are you ever tongue tied when talking to real estate sellers? It's actually misnamed. Okay, but that's what it was doing. And then episode number 370 is realtors beware. There aren't going to be they aren't going to like this new creative strategy. Okay, so that would teach you the curiosity, what to say, how to say it. In that particular case, you would talk about giving them an offer that could be 50, 60, 70% over market value. However, I will tell you, I don't like to do that because they'll think it's a scam. So I try not to use those numbers. But you could say I have an offer that you would have a hard time saying no to. Right? So just don't answer questions that will give away your offer ideas. Just keep telling the seller you have solutions that can save them tens of thousands of dollars in closing costs. That's another way to do it. I can give you an offer that has no fees.
Right.
Here's another one. I'm going to charge the buyer the closing costs, not you. Can we talk? Right? Or here's another good one. You have 70, 80, 150 people that want to buy a house in that neighborhood, and you want to show them this seller's house so it's a quick and easy sale. Can we talk about it on the phone? Now, do most of our listeners have 70, 80, 150 people, Peter?
No. Well, could they get them?
So I'm telling you right now, if you follow along our system, within three to 5 days, you'll have that many people that are asking about the house. Basically, we're going to put the house on like Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace. They're a little bit weird. They shut accounts down because if you say good credit, bad credit, all that kind of stuff. No bank qualifying, they find offensive. Okay, so they're snowflakes. I get it. So we're just going to leave it at that. But we do put them on Zillow. We put them on apartments.com. We put them on Craigslist. And we get them. Zillow's enough. The Zillow renting section. So basically, you're going to put the house. It's going to say house for sale, no bank qualifying. Okay. You will get 70, 80, 100 people. If the price is right and the house is pretty, you will get 70, 80, or 150, 200 people. You will get a lot of responses. So you're not lying when you say to them, I have, pick a number, 58 people that want to buy a house in your neighborhood. Can we talk by phone? Is that curious? Even for a for sale by owner, because what are they having trouble finding? The
buyer.
Right. And you're saying I got 58 of them. Okay. So keep the seller's appetite hungry until you can give your presentation in full and the seller gets all the information. Now, to your point, the question I think you're going to ask is, we slide it. We seem to slide it. Sometimes we're like, but I think you have that. Well, why don't you go ahead and answer your question? Because I think you have it confused, but I want to clarify it.
Well, two things. What you just said, when we go back and forth on how much automation, how much talking, I personally think that would depend on if it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. that you have to work a little harder, a little less. If people are struggling to sell houses, you could be a little more automated, but you still got to get on the phone. I think the way the market is now, it's better to get on the phone sooner than later. But my question was this. I get some people sometimes calling and not leaving messages. You go, oh, the guy's calling me. And you call him, it's like, rah, 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 you know, it's a bad call. So I could call those, but like, I don't need people aggravating me. So if a call comes in, is it still okay to send a text like, I have an offer for your house, and just see if they're willing to talk about it?
Okay, so what's the purpose of texting?
To get to find out if the house is for sale.
Yeah.
And tell them you have an offer and see if you can talk to them.
You're not telling them that you have an offer. You say, do you want an offer?
Oh, okay. Do you want an offer? Okay.
Yeah, you're not telling because they it doesn't matter what you have. It's what they want that matters. So
I see. Yeah, it's a better question that way. Okay.
You're going to ask them, is a house for sale?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want an offer for it?
Mm-hmm.
And can we talk by phone?
Okay.
Right. So let's say somebody texts you back and they say, what's your offer?
Mm-hmm.
So do you want an offer? Yeah. What's your offer? What do you say?
Well,
by text.
By text. Well, it's usually something like, you know, I'd love to give you an offer, but I could use a little information so I give you an accurate offer. But I'm sure it's something that you'll like.
Is that compelling?
I don't know. I'm winging it.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just kind of role play this text a little bit. So you say, What is an offer? So
yeah,
what's your offer?
What's your offer?
I'm not quite sure until I talk to you, but I know I have 50 or 60 people that want a house in that neighborhood. Can we talk by phone?
You know, we used to have templates on our system that we don't quite have now, and we've come a long way. Maybe you can give us some new templates that are really, really good because you've got them.
Yeah. So here's another one.
Yeah.
Here's another one. So they say, what's your offer?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know yet. I need to talk. Let me see. I just had it a minute ago. I don't know yet, but I know I can save you tens of thousands in closing costs. Are you interested?
Yeah.
Right. Is that curiosity? Is that a mystery?
Yeah. Well, it's specific enough without being exact. So you want to find out, well, how much and what really is going to happen.
Here's another one. What's your offer? I think you're going to like it so much we could probably close within the next 2 weeks if you need to.
I like the part where you say, I don't know, because it's true. And to just throw a number out is unreal and unbelievable. So it's more honest to say that and then continue with some of your other lines because it's true.
So that's what I'm saying is you keep the curiosity and you keep the mystery, right? Mm-hmm. And not just throw bits and pieces of information at the seller so he can diagnose his or own disease.
Exactly.
Think of this. If the seller really, truly knew what to do, then the house would be sold and he or she wouldn't need you. Mm-hmm. Don't do them a disservice. Mm-hmm. They're going to go to the doctor, tell them to come in and do triage. Triage means that you come in and you find out what's going on so you know where to send them in the hospital. That's what an emergency room does. They do triage. Mm-hmm. They come in and you're either going to go here, or there.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But the house isn't sold when they're contacting you. Mm-hmm. He or she is just qualifying you and begging for someone like you to come along and help. They're begging you. Mm-hmm. And you're cutting the help flow by answering bits and pieces of information without the full data. Mm-hmm. You're hurting them. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
So if you're human and you can chat with sellers and be real sincere, well, damn, you're about 90% of the way there. Don't worry about the information because you can always say to them, I don't know, but I can go find out.
Mm-hmm.
Send me a support ticket. Right?
Let me say something. I think us buyers and people are still learning, like myself and other guys, probably worse off than me. We're worried about having the right answers. How about this? Your first call is just to find their questions,
right,
and see if you can find the right questions they should have. Right. That's your first job. If you find that, you can get off the phone and then find the answers. Because if you can't find their questions and find out what they need and they want, the rest is a moot point anyway. So if you just thought about that point, maybe you wouldn't be so worried about talking to them. I'm on a field information gathering mission right now.
Right.
That should be doable.
So stop blunting your chances to talk to sellers and start talking to them, by texting. Stop blunting your chances by texting them and giving them bits and pieces of information, and start talking to them, and you'll soon see your bank account explode with lots of commas in your balanced numbers. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's important. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's it. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to stop it there. So hopefully this helped you. I know it sounds minute, and it sounds like, but there's nobody that has distinguished in the industry so far, which is a revolutionary point in my head. Like, when do you stop the robot, and when do you start the human? What's the point of the robot? Point of the robot is, and that's what it does in Creative REI Replay. In Creative REI Replay, all it does is ask you for an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
The robot is designed to get you an appointment. What's your offer? I don't know, because we call her Sophie. Our robot is called Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
So Sophie will say, my name is Sophie. I'm Bill's virtual assistant. Right? Mm-hmm. And it will say, I don't know what the offer is, but how about we make an appointment with Bill so you can talk to him?
Yeah.
So the robot is designed to just make an appointment, which is exactly what you should do in your system. That's exactly how you should operate. And you will find that the more people you talk to, the more offers you make, the more you'll learn. Okay. Thank you for joining us today. I don't have a title to the podcast 373 yet. I've been behind on my podcast. I usually have 2 or 3 weeks in the pipeline, but I've been busy. Make sure you go subscribe to wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you like us. Make sure you give us a review. And if you have any questions, you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right-hand side, there's a support button. Those questions come right to me directly if you have a question for Peter and I. If you want to get into our little mastermind group, which is for free, go to WhatsApp Messenger, type in Let's Talk Real Estate, and you will find us there, and we have a group there. Okay? With that, I'm over and out. I appreciate your support and dedication for listening, and go make a deal. Flourish and prosper.